Look at that whale trying to fit in a human restaurant, Brian sneers, loud enough for everyone to hear. Travis's fork freezes mid-air. Silence crashes through the diner. Every head turns. The four businessmen circle their prey. Brian stands, smartphone raised, capturing Travis's humiliation. "Perfect specimen for my wildlife collection," he announces. Wadded napkins pelt Travis's back. One hits his head. The suits roar with laughter. Travis sets down his fork with military precision. His massive shoulders tense, his eyes calculating patient, dangerous scan each man's face. The waitress steps forward, then hesitates. Other diners look away, ashamed but silent. Brian flicks a sugar packet that lands in Travis's coffee. "Whale watching is my new hobby, boys." Little did they know, the man they chose to humiliate had faced worse enemies than them and won. 30 minutes earlier, Travis enters the diner with a grace that belies his size. His movements are deliberate, efficient, hints of military discipline embedded in civilian life. "Morning, Travis," the hostess calls. "Your usual corner?" He nods, settling into the familiar booth that accommodates his frame. The morning light catches the faded scar on his right hand as he unfolds his napkin. The bell above the door chimes. Four men in tailored suits stride in, radiating entitlement. Brian leads, scanning the diner like he's appraising property. "Anywhere but near the kitchen," he tells the hostess, then freezes. His eyes lock on Travis. "Actually, that section looks good." Gloria, the waitress, approaches Travis with a genuine smile. "Coffee black extra hot?" "You know me too well," Travis answers, his voice deep but gentle. From the businessmen's table, Brian nudges Alex. "Check out the big guy. Think he's ordered the entire menu yet?" Alex snickers. Probably has a separate stomach for dessert. Travis appears absorbed in his tablet, but his posture shifts subtly. On screen, a military news site announces a veterans recognition ceremony before he swipes to financial reports with complex figures. "Just closed the Harrington deal," Brian announces loudly. 8 figures, gentlemen. Drinks on me tonight." Their conversation grows progressively louder. Words like discipline and self-control punctuate their laughter, aimed in Travis's direction. Gloria delivers Travis's modest breakfast 2 eggs, wheat toast, no hash browns. He thanks her with quiet dignity. "Surprised the plate doesn't break under all that food," Dominic stage whispers, causing Paul to laugh nervously. Travis's eyes briefly meet Gloria's. A silent understanding passes between them. This isn't the first time he's weathered such storms. He cuts his eggs with the precision of someone who's learned patience in the hardest circumstances. Each bite measured, each moment calculated. The businessmen order mimosas to celebrate. Brian raises his glass toward Travis. "To health and fitness, am I right?" Travis sips his coffee, allowing the disrespect to wash over him. Not yet. Not time. The laughter from the businessmen's table cuts through the diner like a knife, and all eyes turn to see what happens next. Brian rises from his chair, smoothing his silk tie. "Need some napkins," he announces, eyeing Travis's table. He saunters over, deliberately bumping Travis's arm. Coffee splashes onto the table. "Oh, sorry, big guy," Brian says, emphasizing each word. "Didn't see you there, which is pretty impressive given how much space you take up." Travis looks up. His eyes assess Brian with the calm calculation of someone who's evaluated actual threats in combat zones. "No problem," Travis replies, voice controlled. Gloria rushes over with towels. "Let me get you a fresh cup, Travis." "Why bother?" Brian interjects. "Probably saving him some calories anyway, right, buddy?" He claps Travis's shoulder with false camaraderie. "Thank you, Gloria," Travis says firmly, ignoring Brian. "I appreciate it." Brian returns to his table, strutting. "Did you see that? Barely reacted. Probably too winded from eating." The men laugh louder, emboldened by Travis's restraint. They interpret his composure as weakness, his dignity as defeat. Travis continues eating methodically. Only the tightening of his jaw betrays his awareness. He reaches for his phone, typing quickly. Situation at Westside Diner. Nothing urgent, but interesting. From the kitchen doorway, Frank, the owner, surveys the dining room. His eyes narrow at the businessmen before finding Travis. They exchange a subtle nod before Frank disappears back into the kitchen. A young couple sits nearby, the woman leaning forward. "Someone should say something," she whispers. Her partner squeezes her hand. "Don't get involved. It's not our business." Travis catches this exchange. Disappointment flickers across his face, replaced immediately by resolve. Alex's voice carries across the diner. "I bet he's on disability. Tax dollars at work, feeding the—" "Another round," Brian cuts in, signaling Gloria. "We're celebrating how successful people live." Travis wipes his mouth deliberately, folding the napkin with precise corners. His phone buzzes with a response. He reads it, then checks his watch. The battle lines are drawn. With each passing minute, the businessmen grow bolder, unaware they're crossing lines that can never be uncrossed. Brian's table clinks mimosa glasses for the third time. Their voices grow louder, inhibitions dissolving with each sip. "This calls for documentation," Alex slurs, pulling out his phone. He aims it toward Travis, pretending to film the wall behind him. "Just capturing the ambiance." Brian stands, straightening his jacket. Time for some man-on-the-street wisdom. He approaches Travis's table, his colleagues watching like spectators at a blood sport. "Excuse me, sir," Brian announces with exaggerated politeness. "We're preparing a corporate retreat on America's health challenges. Would you mind sharing some personal insights?" Travis sets his fork down with military precision, his eyes calculating, measuring take Brian's measure completely. "I'm trying to enjoy my breakfast," Travis says quietly. Brian presses further, invading Travis's space. "Let me guess, former football player? Before—" He gestures at Travis's body. "Before letting yourself go." He places his hand heavily on Travis's shoulder, squeezing with false friendliness. The pressure is deliberate, meant to emphasize power. Travis removes Brian's hand with a simple, efficient movement. No wasted energy, no aggression. Just the practiced motion of someone who's removed more dangerous things. "Don't touch me," Travis says. His voice remains level, but something in its tone makes Gloria pause across the room, coffee pot suspended mid-pour. Other diners have abandoned all pretense of not watching. Some look uncomfortable, others shamefully entertained. Dominic approaches, phone held high. "We're doing man-on-the-street interviews about fitness goals," he announces, red-faced with alcohol and excitement. Travis looks directly into the camera lens. "Turn that off." "Just having some fun," Dominic replies, continuing to film. Brian positions himself to block Travis's exit from the booth. "Why so serious, big man? We're all friends here." Travis checks his watch deliberately. His phone screen lights up with a message. 5 minutes out. "I'd like to leave now," Travis states. "What's the rush?" Brian leans closer. "Share your wisdom. How many calories in that breakfast? 1,000? 2? Paul hangs back, looking increasingly uncomfortable. "Brian, maybe we should—" "Shh," Brian cuts him off. "The big man's about to speak." Travis sits perfectly still. His breathing remains measured, controlled. Nothing in his expression betrays the calculations happening behind his eyes. 30 seconds, Travis says softly. "Until what?" Brian laughs. "You finish another plate?" Alex joins them, filming with his phone now, too. "This is gold. Corporate will love this team-building exercise." Travis glances toward the door, then back at Brian. Something shifts in his posture, subtle, almost imperceptible. The change from civilian patience to military readiness. Brian mistakes this for submission. "Maybe we should order him dessert. On us. A reward for being such a good sport." The businessmen laugh, except for Paul, who takes a step back, sensing something the others miss. Something in Travis's eyes changes, a soldier's calm replacing the civilian's patience. Travis rises with unexpected fluidity. "Excuse me," he states, navigating past the businessmen without touching them. He moves toward the restroom, ignoring the exaggerated imitations of his gait behind him. "Watch out, building's gonna shake," Brian calls after him. Inside the restroom's privacy, Travis stands tall. He pulls out his phone and dials. "James, you got my location?" His voice transforms authoritative, commanding. "Good. No, don't come in yet. Just be ready." He splashes water on his face, studying his reflection. The mirror shows more than a large man, it reveals discipline etched in every feature. A brief flash of memory. Travis in crisp marine dress blues, standing at attention while a general pins a purple heart to his chest. The memory expands, revealing a battlefield. Travis dragging 2 wounded Marines to safety under heavy fire. An explosion. Pain. He straightens his shirt. "Not today," he whispers to himself. Meanwhile, Brian holds court at their table, plotting the next act of humiliation. "When he comes back, we should all stand and salute," Brian suggests, mimicking a mock salute. "The general of the buffet line." Alex and Dominic laugh appreciatively. Paul stares into his mimosa. "Maybe we should ease up," Paul suggests quietly. "What?" Brian challenges. "It's just jokes. Not our fault if some people can't control their appetites." In the kitchen, Gloria speaks urgently with Frank. "Those suits are harassing Travis," she reports. "Should we call someone?" Frank wipes his hands on his apron. "Travis Hampton doesn't need our protection." "You know him?" Gloria asks. "Veterans events," Frank nods. "Trust me, those idiots have no idea who they're messing with." Outside the diner, a black SUV with tinted windows pulls up. A man in a tailored suit exits, scanning the surroundings before speaking into his wrist microphone. He remains positioned by the vehicle, watchful. Travis returns to his table. A crude caricature drawn on a napkin awaits him. An elephant in a chair with "Caution, wide load," scrawled beneath it. He folds the napkin carefully, tucking it into his pocket as evidence. His face betrays nothing as he resumes eating. Gloria brings his check with a handwritten note at the bottom. "On the house, Frank says Semper Fi." Travis nods in acknowledgement, eyes conveying silent gratitude. Brian's table erupts in fresh laughter as Paul reluctantly demonstrates how Travis walks. The mockery has become a performance, feeding on itself. Travis checks his watch again. The deadline approaches. His phone buzzes once more. "Perimeter secure," the text reads. He takes a final sip of coffee. Years of military training have taught him strategy: when to endure, when to engage, when to wait for reinforcements. The businessmen have no idea they're not the predators in this scenario. They've mistaken Travis's restraint for weakness, his calm for surrender. They don't recognize the tactical assessment happening behind his eyes. Travis reaches for his wallet with deliberate slowness. The time for patience is ending. The businessmen had no idea they weren't just harassing a man, they were awakening a warrior. Brian abandons all subtlety. He gestures to his colleagues, and they surround Travis's booth like wolves circling wounded prey. Their expensive suits form a wall of privilege and entitlement. Brian plants both palms on the table, invading Travis's space. Alcohol and arrogance fuel his confidence. "My friend Dominic here is a personal trainer," Brian announces loudly enough for the entire diner to hear. "He's offering you a free consultation. Special charity case." Travis remains seated, his eyes moving from face to face. The assessment is quick, professional, the instinctive threat evaluation of a combat veteran. "I'm finished with my meal," Travis says evenly. "I'd like to leave." Alex shifts to block the exit path. "The consultation is mandatory, big guy. We're concerned citizens." Gloria approaches with determination, coffee pot gripped like a weapon. Dominic cuts her off with a dismissive wave. Employee issues stay with employees, he tells her with a condescending smile. The entire diner watches now. An elderly man begins to stand from his booth, face flushed with anger. "Harold, don't," his wife whispers, tugging him back. "You'll have another episode." Travis's phone buzzes silently. A text illuminates the screen. "In position, your call." Brian taps his platinum credit card against the table. "I'll even pay for your meal. Consider it my contribution to public health." Travis looks at his watch, a deliberate, measured movement. "You have 30 seconds to step aside." The businessmen exchange amused glances, interpreting the statement as empty bravado from someone they perceive as powerless. "Or what?" Alex challenges. "You'll sit on us?" Brian laughs, but something in Travis's unwavering gaze makes his smile falter momentarily. 20 seconds, Travis counts. "He's keeping track of the seconds until his next meal," Dominic jokes, but his voice lacks conviction. Frank emerges from the kitchen, dish towel over his shoulder. He watches the situation with the calculated patience of someone who knows what's coming. Travis remains perfectly still, but energy radiates from him, the coiled readiness of a combat veteran who has survived worse confrontations than this. 10 seconds, he states calmly. As Travis counted down in his head, years of military discipline held back the storm that was about to break over the unsuspecting bullies. Brian straightens his posture, mimicking a drill sergeant. "Stand up, recruit," he barks, performance for his audience. "Time for inspection." His colleagues laugh on cue, creating theater for the captive diner audience. Phones record from multiple angles now. Travis remains seated, expression unreadable. His eyes lock with Brian's, unwavering, assessing. Something in that gaze makes Brian falter before doubling down. "I said stand up!" Brian places his hand on Travis's shoulder again, fingers digging with unmistakable aggression. "That's twice you've put hands on me without permission," Travis states quietly. The words carry weight beyond their simple meaning. Outside the diner, the suited man by the SUV speaks into his wrist mic. Two more black vehicles glide silently into position, boxing in the businessmen's luxury cars. Gloria hurries to Frank, who watches the scene unfold with knowing calm. "This is getting bad," she whispers. Frank makes a decision, reaching for the phone behind the counter. He dials quickly, speaks 3 words. "It's happening now." Brian leans closer to Travis, cologne and alcohol creating a toxic cloud. "What are you going to do about it, big man? Roll over me?" Something shifts in the air, the invisible current that precedes lightning. Travis stands slowly. Despite his weight, he rises with military precision and unexpected grace. Brian steps back involuntarily as Travis reaches his full height, towering over him by several inches. The booth that had seemed to constrain Travis now appears too small in retrospect. Standing, his presence commands the space, reshaping the power dynamic instantly. "Last chance," Travis says, voice level but carrying to every corner of the suddenly silent diner. "Walk away." Brian, too committed to his performance to retreat, jabs a finger into Travis's chest. The gesture seems childish now, a boy poking a mountain. "Or what?" Brian challenges, voice betraying the first tremor of uncertainty. Travis checks his watch one final time, a deliberate movement that carries more menace than any threat could. "Time's up," he says simply. The air in the diner crackles with tension. Every person present feels it, the inevitable moment before consequences arrive. The diner falls silent as the air crackles with the electricity that precedes a storm. Brian attempts to match Travis's stance, drawing himself up like a peacock displaying plumage. The effect falls flat bravado versus genuine authority. "Look who decided to show some backbone," Brian sneers, but his voice lacks its previous confidence. The diner door opens with practiced smoothness. A woman enters early 40s, sharp pantsuit, alert eyes scanning the room with professional efficiency. She locks on to Travis, gives an almost imperceptible nod, and remains positioned by the entrance. Travis keeps his hands visible and open at his sides, the practiced stance of someone trained to de-escalate while remaining combat-ready. "I've given you multiple opportunities to walk away," he says evenly. Dominic circles wider, filming from another angle. "This is gold," he mutters, digital courage masking physical cowardice. The other diners remain frozen in their seats, witnessing the confrontation with uncomfortable fascination. Frank emerges from the kitchen and begins approaching, but Travis gives him a subtle hand signal to stay back. Brian, trapped by his own behavior and the watching audience, chooses escalation over retreat. He shoves Travis's shoulder with enough force to move an ordinary man. "Sit back down, you don't—" Travis doesn't budge an inch. The businessmen blink in collective surprise. "That's 3 times you've put hands on me," Travis says. His voice remains conversational, which somehow makes it more intimidating. "There won't be a 4th. The air changes, subtle but unmistakable. Several diners shift in their seats, sensing the imminent collision of different worlds. "What are you going to do about it?" Alex challenges, stepping beside Brian in false solidarity. Travis doesn't answer immediately. His silence carries more weight than words. "Gentlemen," he finally says, "I've been patient. I've been respectful. I've given you every opportunity to maintain your dignity." He reaches into his pocket. The businessmen flinch collectively. Travis pulls out his phone, taps once. "Proceed," he says to someone on the other end. The woman by the door straightens. Outside, men in suits exit the black vehicles with synchronized precision. Brian's face flushes with the first real fear. "Who the hell are you?" In the heartbeat of silence that followed, the balance of power shifted like tectonic plates before an earthquake. The diner door opens again. A distinguished older man enters, silver hair framing an aristocratic face. His impeccable suit speaks of genuine wealth, not the aspirational display of Brian's group. 2 security personnel flank him, professional and alert. "Travis," the man acknowledges with a respectful nod. Recognition flickers across Brian's face. Blood drains from his features as connections form in his mind. "James," Travis responds with equal formality. "These are the individuals I mentioned. James Thornton, CEO of Hampton Thornton Investment Group, surveys the businessmen with the dispassionate gaze of someone accustomed to evaluating assets and liabilities. Are these Westlake Financial employees?" he asks, though his tone suggests he already knows the answer. Travis straightens imperceptibly. "Yes, they're celebrating a deal." Dominic's phone continues recording, now capturing their own stunned expressions rather than Travis's humiliation. "Colonel Hampton," James says, the military title hanging in the air like a thunderclap. "I apologize for interrupting your breakfast." Gloria smiles from behind the counter, vindication warming her face. Travis turns to the businessmen. "Allow me to introduce myself properly. Travis Hampton, United States Marine Corps, retired, Purple Heart recipient." He pauses, letting the information sink in before delivering the final blow. "And as of last quarter, majority shareholder in Thornton Global, the parent company of your employer." Brian opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. No words emerge. "This weight you've been mocking?" Travis continues, gesturing to his body. "Partial result of injuries sustained saving my unit from an ambush in Fallujah. The doctors say I'm lucky to be walking." The silence in the diner is absolute. Even breathing seems to have paused. "I'm also chairperson of the ethics committee that reviews all personnel from subsidiary companies." Travis points to Dominic's phone. "I'll need that recording for the review meeting this afternoon." The woman who entered earlier approaches, handing Travis a tablet with practiced efficiency. "Sir, I've pulled up the personnel files as requested," she states. Travis reviews the screen. Brian Wilson, Alex Hoffman, Dominic Pierce, and Paul Taylor, Westlake Financial, M&A Division. He looks up, meeting each man's eyes in turn. Gentlemen, consider yourselves on administrative leave pending review. Paul steps away from his colleagues. Mr. Hampton, Travis raises a hand. We'll discuss individual involvement later. Brian finds his voice at last, desperation overriding judgment. You can't just... We were just having some fun. Harassment isn't fun, Travis replies calmly. Discrimination isn't fun. Creating a hostile environment isn't fun. James checks his watch. The board is assembling at 2. I suggest you gentlemen use the intervening hours to secure representation. The security personnel move closer, not threatening but unmistakably present. You recorded your own violations of company policy, Travis observes. That simplifies the process considerably. Dominic lowers his phone, realization dawning that he's documented his own professional execution. The young couple who had watched earlier now stare in amazement. The woman catches Travis's eye and mouths a silent, "Thank you." Travis acknowledges her with a slight nod before turning back to the businessmen. My security team will escort you to the office. Your devices will remain with you, but please be aware that attempting to delete evidence would constitute additional violations. Alex, desperate, tries another tack. Travis, Mr. Hampton, Colonel, surely we can discuss this privately. Come to some arrangement? Travis's expression doesn't change. Everything will be handled through proper channels, with full transparency. He turns to Gloria and Frank. Thank you for your patience. I apologize for the disruption. Frank shakes his head. No apology needed, Colonel. It's an honor having you here. The other diners begin to murmur, the spell of silence broken. Several nod in approval. The elderly man who had tried to intervene earlier raises his coffee cup in salute. Travis gathers his belongings with the same methodical precision he's demonstrated throughout. Nothing rushed, nothing wasted. He addresses the businessmen one final time. Today you had a choice. You chose poorly. Now, I have a choice. He lets the words settle. We'll see what I choose this afternoon. The 4 men who had entered the diner as powerful predators now stood frozen as prey, caught in the crosshairs of consequences they never saw coming. The conference room at Hampton Thornton headquarters gleams with understated luxury. Afternoon sunlight filters through tinted windows, illuminating Travis in a tailored suit that transforms his appearance from target to titan. The man sitting at the head of the polished table bears no resemblance to the seemingly vulnerable figure from the diner. Here, Travis Hampton's size projects authority rather than vulnerability. James Thornton takes his place at Travis's right while the company's legal team arranges documents with practiced precision. On the wall-mounted screen, the diner footage plays silently. The contrast between Travis's dignity and the businessmen's cruelty appears even starker in the corporate setting. Pause there, instructs Elaine Winters, Hampton Thornton's general counsel. The screen freezes on Brian's finger, jabbing Travis's chest. That's the 3rd physical contact, following 2 unwanted touches to the shoulder. Each constitutes battery under state law. James shakes his head. Beyond legal concerns, this violates at least 6 provisions of our ethics code. 7, Travis corrects quietly. There's religious discrimination in the section we haven't reached yet. The HR director, Sophia Mendez, reviews the personnel files spread before her. Their performance metrics are impressive. Brian Wilson has consistently exceeded targets by 23%. Alex Hoffman brought in the Stevens account last quarter. Dominic Pierce has strong client retention numbers. And that's why this behavior has been tolerated, Travis observes. Results over character. Elaine taps her tablet. There's more. I've found 3 previously dismissed complaints against Brian Wilson for inappropriate behavior. All filed by female employees, all mysteriously resolved without formal action. Travis leans forward. Pull those files for review. Contact the complainants directly with appropriate sensitivity. Across town at Westlake Financial, the four men sit in separate conference rooms, each accompanied by an HR representative and security guard. Brian paces his assigned room like a caged animal. "This is ridiculous. He can't do this. I want to call my lawyer." "You're welcome to legal representation," the HR representative states flatly. "However, I should inform you that your employment agreement includes a binding arbitration clause for workplace misconduct." In another room, Alex alternates between aggression and pleading. "It was just jokes, locker room talk. Everyone does it." Down the hall, Dominic stares at his phone, now evidence against him. "I wasn't really part of it," he insists. "I was just recording." Only Paul sits quietly, shoulders slumped. When the HR representative enters, he looks up with resignation. "I know I messed up," he says simply. "I should have stopped them." Back at Hampton Thornton, additional evidence accumulates. The young couple from the diner submits written statements. 3 other patrons come forward with accounts of previous incidents involving the same group. Gloria provides her statement to a Hampton Thornton representative at the diner. "They've harassed other customers before," she confirms, "especially women and minorities, but no one's ever held them accountable." She smiles with satisfaction. Until today. Travis reviews the mounting documentation with methodical thoroughness. Nothing escapes his attention: the pattern of behavior, the enabling corporate culture, the witnesses who stepped forward, and those who remained silent. James studies Travis's expression. "You're thinking beyond these 4 men." "This is symptomatic," Travis confirms. "One incident in a pattern, one pattern in a system." The diversity officer, Aisha Clark, presents Travis with options ranging from termination to rehabilitation programs. "Our recommendation is immediate termination for Brian Wilson, Alex Hoffman, and Dominic Pierce." Paul Taylor presents a more complicated case. He participated less actively and has no prior incidents. Travis listens carefully, weighing justice against opportunity for growth. What would rehabilitation actually look like? Not just sensitivity training videos and signatures on policies. "We've developed a more intensive program," Aisha explains. "Community service, mentorship with diverse leaders, ongoing accountability metrics. It's demanding and meaningful, not a checkbox exercise." Travis nods. "Schedule time for me to meet with Paul Taylor privately." The meeting with Paul takes place in a smaller conference room. The young man enters nervously, tie askew despite obvious attempts to appear professional. "Sir, he begins. Travis raises a hand. "Before you speak, I want you to watch something." On the screen, the diner footage plays again. This time focused on Paul's face as his colleagues escalate their harassment. Discomfort, nervousness, occasional forced laughter, but never the same malicious enjoyment as the others. When the video ends, Paul's eyes are wet. "I knew it was wrong," he admits. "I wanted to say something, but..." "But what?" Travis asks, voice neutral. "They control assignments, client access. Brian could tank my career with a word." Paul looks down. "That's not an excuse, just the truth. I was a coward." Travis studies him. "Do you know why I waited so long to respond this morning?" Paul shakes his head. "I was watching, observing who participated actively, who followed along, who remained silent." Travis leans forward. "Silence in the face of wrong isn't neutral, Paul." "I know that now," Paul whispers. "What would you do differently, if you could go back?" Paul thinks for a moment. "I should have told them to stop. Directly, immediately. If they didn't listen, I should have gone to Travis, to you, and apologized. Then left their table." Travis nods. "And if that cost you professionally?" "Some prices are worth paying," Paul answers, meeting Travis's eyes for the first time. Meanwhile, the PR crisis team assembles to craft statements. Their director presents Travis with carefully sanitized language about alleged incidents and thorough review processes. Travis reads it once and hands it back. No. Sir? The director questions. This sterilizes hate, Travis says. We'll be direct. Acknowledge what happened. Name the behaviors precisely racism, harassment, discrimination. Affirm our zero-tolerance policy. Outline specific consequences. That approach carries significant risk, the PR director cautions. So does moral cowardice, Travis counters. Draft it again. As afternoon stretches into evening, Travis reviews every document, considers every perspective. The weight of decision rests on his shoulders, just as it did in combat situations where lives hung in the balance. James finds him alone in the conference room after the others have left. You've always been thorough, he observes. Travis gestures to the files. 4 careers, multiple complainants, a company culture. The stakes deserve thoroughness. Have you decided? Travis nods slowly. Justice without opportunity for redemption isn't justice at all. But opportunity without accountability isn't redemption. He closes the final file. I'm ready. The next morning, formal hearing procedures begin. The boardroom has been arranged like a court, one side for the accused, another for the company representatives. Security stands discreetly at the doors. Travis enters last, his presence immediately commanding the space. Brian, Alex, and Dominic sit with their attorneys. Paul sits separately, alone. This hearing will address the incidents that occurred yesterday at Westside Diner. Travis begins without preamble. We have reviewed extensive evidence, including video recordings, witness statements, and personnel histories. Brian's attorney stands. My client wishes to express regret for what was clearly workplace humor taken out of context. Travis raises a hand, silencing him. Before characterizing the events, let's review them. He signals, and the complete video plays on the large screen. In the harsh light of the boardroom, the bullying appears even more egregious. Several board members shift uncomfortably as the footage unfolds. When it concludes, Travis addresses each man individually. Mr. Wilson, at time index 342, you stated, and I quote, "People like him are the reason health insurance premiums keep rising." At 4:17, you initiated physical contact without consent. At 6:33, you blocked my exit from the booth, constituting unlawful restraint. He continues with similar precision for each participant, highlighting moments where they had opportunities to make different choices. Alex breaks first. It was just joking around. Brian always does this kind of thing. The pressure to fit in. So your defense is that you harass people routinely? Travis asks quietly. Dominic attempts his own justification. I was just recording. I didn't say anything offensive. You facilitated and documented harassment for entertainment, Travis corrects. Your laughter is audible 17 times during the recording. Brian maintains defiant eye contact but says nothing until his attorney whispers urgently in his ear. Travis presents the additional pattern of behavior documented by diner staff and other witnesses. He then displays their past performance reviews, highlighting sections where aggressive behavior was praised as assertiveness and competitive spirit. Our culture has rewarded results while ignoring methods, Travis observes. That ends today. Paul speaks without prompting, his voice steady despite his obvious nervousness. I want to apologize, not just for yesterday, but for every time I've stayed silent when I should have spoken up. What we did was wrong. I have no excuses. He looks directly at Travis. I'm prepared to accept whatever consequences are appropriate. Travis nods in acknowledgement before delivering his verdict. Brian Wilson, Alex Hoffman, and Dominic Pierce, your employment with Westlake Financial is terminated effective immediately. The evidence of your misconduct will be submitted to industry oversight boards as required by regulation. He turns to Paul. Paul Taylor, you are suspended without pay for 3 months. During that time, you will complete our intensive rehabilitation program and community service requirements. Upon successful completion, you will be reassigned to our Community Investment Division. As Brian stands to leave, his mask of control finally slips. "This is bull—" A racial slur escapes under his breath, just loud enough to be heard. Travis doesn't react visibly. "Security, please escort Mr. Wilson from the building immediately." As Travis prepared to deliver his decision, he reflected on a battlefield lesson. Sometimes the greater victory comes not from destroying your enemy, but from transforming them. The formal hearing reconvenes after a 30-minute recess. Brian, Alex, and Dominic sit stiffly on one side of the long mahogany table, their attorneys beside them. Legal pads and water glasses remain untouched. The air conditioning hums too loudly in the tense silence. Paul sits separately, no lawyer at his side. His posture communicates acceptance rather than defense. The door opens. Travis enters last, his presence immediately recalibrating the room's energy. The difference between the Travis they mocked and Colonel Hampton before them couldn't be more stark, not because of the tailored suit or military bearing, but because of the power dynamic they failed to recognize earlier. Brian's attorney, a sharp-featured man with an expensive watch, speaks first. "Before final determinations are made, my client wishes to emphasize that this was workplace humor gone awry. Mr. Wilson has an exemplary performance record." Travis silences him with a raised hand. Without speaking, he activates the display. The complete video plays again, this time with enhanced audio capturing every slur, every laugh, every moment of cruelty. Several board members wince at particularly vicious comments. One woman removes her glasses, rubbing the bridge of her nose as if fighting a headache. When the footage ends, Travis addresses each man individually, highlighting precise moments when different choices could have been made. "Mr. Wilson, at timestamp 7:14, Gloria approached your table. You could have recognized her concern as legitimate. Instead, you dismissed her with a derogatory gesture and continued your behavior." He turns to the next man. "Mr. Hoffman, at 8:22, you observed Mr. Pierce filming without consent. You encouraged this invasion of privacy rather than suggesting he stop." His methodical dissection continues, laying bare every opportunity for decency they rejected. Alex breaks first, shoulders slumping. "We'd been drinking, celebrating the Harrington deal, the pressure and stress of this job. You don't understand what it's like." "I understand leadership under pressure," Travis replies evenly. "I've made life or death decisions with insufficient information while being shot at. Pressure doesn't excuse cruelty, it reveals character." Dominic attempts his own defense. "I was just filming, not participating. I didn't say anything offensive." "The recording shows you laughing at 17 separate instances of harassment," Travis corrects. "Enabling and documenting abuse for entertainment makes you complicit." Brian maintains defiant eye contact but says nothing. Travis reveals the additional pattern established by witness statements and previously dismissed complaints. He then displays their performance reviews, highlighting sections where aggressive behavior was reframed as positive traits. Intimidation described as assertiveness, bullying labeled as competitive spirit, harassment disguised as team building. Travis shakes his head. "The language we use matters. It shapes what we tolerate." Paul speaks last without prompting. His apology addresses not just the incident, but the culture that enabled it. The silent approval, the fear of speaking up, the misplaced loyalty. "I've been part of the problem," he concludes. "I want to be part of the solution." Travis delivers his verdict with the same calm authority he's maintained throughout. Brian, Alex, and Dominic are terminated, with the video and findings sent to industry oversight boards. Paul receives suspension, rehabilitation requirements, and reassignment. The defeated businessmen gather their belongings. Security waits discreetly to escort them from the building. As Brian stands to leave, something breaks inside him. His carefully maintained facade crumbles into ugly truth. He mutters a slur just loud enough to be heard by those nearest him. The room freezes. The attorney closes his eyes in defeat. "Mr. Wilson," Travis says, voice unchanged, "thank you for confirming our decision." Security steps forward immediately. No further words are exchanged as Brian is escorted out, his final act of defiance serving only to validate his termination. After they exit, Travis addresses the remaining executives. This isn't about one incident or 4 individuals. It's about the culture we've allowed to develop. That changes today. He stands, signaling the hearing's conclusion. When we reward results without examining methods, we become complicit in the damage done. That's the harder lesson here, and the one we need to learn. The fall of 3 careers was just the beginning, a ripple that would soon grow into a wave of change throughout the industry. 6 months later, Travis stands at a podium, addressing a packed auditorium at the National Financial Services Conference. Behind him, a simple slide displays the title, Cultural Transformation in Finance, Beyond Compliance to Community. Camera flashes punctuate his words. Industry leaders lean forward in their seats. The transformation of Hampton Thornton from respected investment firm to cultural catalyst has made Travis an unlikely reformer. The metrics we choose define the culture we create, Travis states, voice carrying to every corner. When we measure only profit, we get toxic pursuit of profit. When we measure ethical conduct alongside performance, we transform the landscape. On screens throughout the venue, headlines scroll. Hampton Thornton implements industry-leading ethics framework. Discrimination complaints, down 64% after financial sector adopts Hampton Protocol. Wall Street culture shift, metrics beyond money. In a quieter moment between panels, Paul navigates the conference hall in his new role with community development initiatives. His transformation is evident, not just in his more relaxed attire, but in the authentic confidence that has replaced desperate conformity. The mentorship program has 18 graduates now, Paul tells a group of interested executives. Former targets of workplace harassment now train management teams on recognition and intervention. He catches Travis's eye across the room and nods in acknowledgement, student to teacher, reformed to reformer. Gloria gives an interview to Business Weekly in the now thriving diner. The journalist notes the establishment's transformation, more diverse clientele, a prominent sign declaring it a harassment-free zone, monthly veterans breakfasts that bring together former service members from all backgrounds. That morning changed everything, Gloria explains, coffee pot still in hand. Not just for those men who got what was coming to them, but for all of us who saw that speaking up matters, that consequences exist. Frank joins the interview briefly. Colonel Hampton could have just handled his own situation. Instead, he created a ripple effect. That's leadership. At Hampton Thornton headquarters, former employees of Westlake Financial participate in a roundtable discussion. They reveal Brian's behavior was long-standing but protected due to his performance numbers. Revenue generation excused everything, a former colleague explains. Complaints disappeared. Ethics were optional if your numbers were good enough. Travis unveils the company's response, an industry-wide anonymous reporting system with third-party oversight. Already, 27 financial institutions have adopted the platform. At a Veterans Leadership Forum, Travis meets with other former military personnel working in finance. They discuss translating military leadership principles into corporate transformation. In combat, we learned that character under pressure reveals truth, Travis tells them. Why accept less in boardrooms than we required in battle? On a rain-slicked street across town, Brian exits a budget coffee shop wearing the uniform of a regional bank several steps down from his former position. He pauses before an electronics store display showing Travis receiving an Industry Leadership Award. Recognition flickers across Brian's face, not just of Travis, but of the consequences of his own actions. He watches silently before turning away, collar raised against the rain. Sometimes the most powerful changes begin with the most painful moments, and the courage to stand firm when others would bend. 1 year later, Travis slides into the same corner booth at West Side Diner. Sunshine streams through freshly cleaned windows, catching on the simple gold band he now wears. His frame carries less weight. Improved medical treatments have helped, but his presence remains commanding, a natural authority that needs no announcement. Gloria approaches with a genuine smile. Coffee? Black? Extra hot? You know me too well, Travis replies, returning her smile. Frank emerges from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a dishcloth. He extends one for a firm handshake. Colonel, good to see you. Good. The diner has evolved subtly. A small plaque near the entrance recognizes local veterans. Community flyers cover a bulletin board where patrons post needs and offers of help. The atmosphere feels warmer, more connected. Business is good, Frank confirms without Travis having to ask. Different crowd these days. Better. Travis nods in satisfaction, surveying the diverse mix of customers. Students with laptops, workers in various uniforms, professionals of all backgrounds. His attention catches on a young black man in an ill-fitting suit at a nearby table, clearly uncomfortable as two older executives interview him. The young man's responses come hesitantly, each answer followed by subtle, dismissive glances between the interviewers. Travis recognizes the pattern immediately. The same subtle discounting he experienced before his military career gave him undeniable credentials. The executives excuse themselves to make a call, leaving the young man alone. His shoulders slump slightly as he reviews his resume with a critical eye. Travis approaches, movements casual but purposeful. First big interview? The young man looks up, startled. Yes, sir. That obvious? The tie gave it away, Travis says with gentle humor. May I? He gestures to the empty chair. As Travis sits, he offers simple, practical advice, not about qualifications, but about presence, about belonging in spaces designed to make you feel you don't. They're looking for confidence, Travis explains, not arrogance, but the certainty that you deserve to be at the table. Recognition dawns in the young man's eyes. You're Travis Hampton, he says suddenly. I just read about you in Business Leadership Monthly. Travis smiles. Guilty. The executives return, noticing Travis immediately. Their demeanor transforms, backs straightening, voices warming. Colonel Hampton, what an unexpected pleasure. Travis stands, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder. Just catching up with this promising talent I've been mentoring. His quantitative skills are exactly what you need for your risk assessment division. The dynamic shifts instantly. The interview resumes with newfound respect, the young man's answers now met with genuine interest rather than polite dismissal. Later, as Travis prepares to leave, the young man approaches to thank him. That changed everything. Why would you help a stranger? Travis hands him a business card. Because someone should have done the same for me earlier. The door's always open if you need anything. Outside, Travis meets James waiting by a town car. They walk together, discussing the changes their actions have catalyzed throughout the industry. The diversity initiatives are showing measurable results, James reports. Retention up 18%. Harassment complaints down 32%. Travis nods in satisfaction. Numbers matter when they measure the right things. You could have destroyed those men completely, James observes as they walk. Brian Wilson in particular. Travis pauses thoughtfully. The point was never destruction. It was correction. They pass a coffee cart where Brian serves customers, his designer suits replaced by a simple uniform. Their eyes meet briefly across the sidewalk. Brian offers a somber nod of acknowledgement. Travis returns it without malice, without triumph, simply recognition of lessons learned on both sides. True strength isn't measured by how hard you can hit, but by the positive change you choose to create when you have the power to destroy. If you've been moved by this story of justice, courage, and transformation, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button now to help more people discover messages of strength and dignity. Stories like Travis's need to be shared in a world where standing up matters more than ever. Subscribe to Beat Stories for weekly narratives that inspire, challenge, and remind us of our power to create change. Turn on notifications so you never miss our newest uploads, powerful stories of ordinary people creating extraordinary moments of justice and transformation. Beat stories, because every act of courage deserves to be told.